Whether the respondent's remarks regarding the identification document constituted an abuse of his position for political purposes, Section 10, subsection 1 of the Elections Act, Cap 7, provides that a person whose name and biometric data are entered in a register of voters at a particular polling station and who produces an identification document, underlined, who produces an identification document, shall be eligible to vote at that polling station. Accordingly, the statutory voting process requires both production of an acceptable identification document, which is either a national identity card or a valid Kenyan passport, and then a biometric verification. Biometric verification does not operate as a statutory substitute or replacement for production of an identification document. To prove a breach of paragraph 6(1) of the code, this committee finds that it is important to consider three elements. A, whether the respondent occupied a position of power, privilege, or influence. B, whether the respondent's conduct amounted to an abuse of that position of influence. And C, whether that abuse was for a political purpose. Position of power, privilege of influence. The respondent is the sitting member of parliament for Nakuru Town East. He is a leader and a person of influence, not only in his own constituency, but within the region of all Kalou included, and the country at large. So that answers the question of whether or not the Honorable Gikaria occupied the position of power, privilege, or influence at the time when he made the remarks. Regarding abuse of the position of influence, the deference that the respects and awe normally or customarily extended to a sitting legislator placed the Honorable Gikaria in a position of considerable influence over the residents who were assembled at the rally where he was addressing. Deploying that influential position, the Honorable Gikaria proceeded to offer the rally attendees a representation on the ID requirement, which misstates and misrepresents the position under the Elections Act and the attendant regulations. The use of his influence to press such misrepresentation of that kind in order to secure or protect an advantage for the respondent's preferred candidate constitutes an abuse of that position within the meaning of paragraph 6(1). As to whether the Honorable Member of Parliament of Nakuru Town East used those remarks for political purpose, the remarks served the specific end of drumming up support for his preferred candidate. This falls squarely within the definition of a political purpose, as set above. Therefore, all three elements have been established, and this committee finds, on the totality of the evidence adduced, that the respondent's remarks on the identification requirement amount to an abuse of his position of power, privilege, and influence as a member of the National Assembly deployed for a political purpose in breach of paragraph 6, subparagraph 1 of the Electoral Code of Conduct, independently of and in addition to the finding in issue number 2 above. And this is the determination of this committee. The committee finds that the Honorable David Gikaria, member of the National Assembly for Nakuru Town East constituency, is culpable of breaching A, paragraph 6H of the code by reason of his claims that he distributed cash as established in issue number 1 above. B. Paragraph 6.1 of the Code, by reason of the same cash distribution claims which independently amount to an abuse of his position and influence as a member of the National Assembly for political purpose, as established at issue number 2 above. C. Paragraph 6, Roman 1 of the Code, separately and independently, by reason of his misrepresentation to the people assembled before him that identification documents were not required to vote, an abuse of his position and influence for political purposes as found and established in issue number 3 above. In each case, in respect of the conduct and utterances at the public rally in Kalou and Darua County. This determination is consistent with the jurisprudence of the Supreme Court of Kenya in the case of Wetangula and another versus Combo and 5 others, 2015, KLR, where the court affirmed that improper inducement strikes at the heart of electoral integrity and undermines the constitutional requirement that elections be free and fair. These, then, are the orders of this committee.